This will be talking about all of the new cars leaked into Forza Horizon 5, expect to be added over the next few updates. And just before we do get started, it'll be very important to clarify the one thing a few people in the community have been saying, in which that no new cars will be released or updates in any of the Forza Horizon 5 monthly releases we'll see coming out. Now, that was what Forza initially stated, but it's clear that has not been the case, based on the fact that the Forza Horizon 5 and PlayStation 5 release has clearly changed its trajectory. If Forza were not going to post on PS5 at all, I would definitely agree that it makes sense there wouldn't be any new updates, but given the fact that Forza PS5 release has seemed kind of out of the blue to some degree, maybe Forza weren't confident it would fall through, but now it has, they've clearly backed down on this and will be adding new content to appease and satisfy those new players coming, which we've already seen as a fact. Various new cars have already been confirmed into the Series 46 update, I believe it was, or Series 45, and those will be coming out on track, including the 4 new Nissan cars in that DLC, and we can expect that will continue at least for the next few months, depending on what the timeline for Horizon 6 will look like. If Horizon 6 is going to be released in June, July, and released towards the end of this year, it's very possible Horizon 5 could do 3 more new updates to kind of satisfy those new PS5 players in the audience, and then stop, because Forza Horizon 6 would be coming soon. But if Forza Horizon 6 isn't coming out until next year, for instance, a whole another 12 months from now, it could be at least, then they're probably going to keep pushing updates to kind of keep the player base somewhat interested, given the long period of time it'll be until we see new cars overall in that new game. But let's get started with the first car, is of course the Catfish Camaro. This is a car that a lot of people have been wanting to be added to the game for a while. This car was initially hypothesized as potentially being added to the game when the Horizon 5 American Muscle came out, which was actually quite a number of months ago, that update, and it was actually not included, which was, you know, not too surprising. It was one of many cars that could have been included in that list, but if not, it could definitely be reserved for any kind of update over the next few months. It's in the game files, that's a fact, so it's simply a case about when it will come into the game. Not 100% of cars added to the game files do end up being released, but often it's a pretty high percentage. I mean, in Horizon 4, for instance, at one stage 170 cars were leaked into the game, and probably around 120 of those ended up being added before Horizon 5, and some of those remaining 50 cars actually ended up being saved for Horizon 5 itself. So like I said, not every single car will come out, but a lot of them do. It's simply a matter of time. Don't hear me talk about 10 cars in this video and assume they'll all be coming out in exactly the next 2 updates, or these 10 cars will be the next 10 to come to the game. It could be 2 out of this list in the next couple updates, another 2 later. It always takes time for these to be finalized and get the publishing rights. Next up is going to be the Camaro IROC Z to return. This car was previously added in another Forza game quite a few years ago, but has not been added in Horizon 5, which has been a bit of a question raised amongst the community as to why it hasn't been yet, but who knows, maybe they're saving it for a relevant update, and that could be anytime soon. Next up is going to be the Ram 1500 TRX. This car is of course a pretty insane car. We've seen some Hennessy 6x6 cars similar to this in terms of its stature and its overall power for a truck, but for this one, the 1500 TRX will be a very cool addition to the game, and I'll be all for this being added. Now of course, all of these new cars are always available as soon as they're released, and if you guys want to see why, you might see I've got 1 billion super wheel spins, the max level in the game, and more. And to learn more, I recommend you guys of course check out my bio on the channel, have a look at the different videos there and see what comes to mind. But if you guys want to get all the rare cars, instant delivery, and more, this is the best way to go about it. So next up is going to be the 2023 Dodge Demon SRT. Now we have of course seen a Dodge Demon, I believe it was an older model. If you want to check in the cars, for instance, it was actually been available since day 1 of Horizon 4 and was even in Horizon 5. The Dodge Demon 2018, pretty cool car right there. In terms of the new version being added, there's quite a bit they have to catch up on in Horizon 5, and the 2023 version would definitely surpass that quite successfully. Now next up on the list is going to be the Maserati MC20. The Maserati MC20 is quite an iconic leaked car because it's been leaked in the game for quite a long time now, definitely over 12 months. It was initially leaked in a batch of around 5 cars, and out of those 5 cars I'd reported on all the way back then, 4 out of 5 of them were added, everything except the Maserati MC20. So people are wondering, maybe the MC20 has been saved for Horizon 6, or maybe they simply haven't gotten around to adding it yet, and they could be being saved for any update over the next few months. And if they were to add it, doing it with PlayStation 5 would probably make a lot of sense, given the fact they want to release some of the best cars to keep that new audience happy. Next up is going to be the McLaren Solus GT. This car is pretty cool. We all know Forza have a very close relationship with McLaren. We've seen it with the cover car of Horizon 4 being the McLaren Senna. Pretty much always seen the new McLarens before they're even available in real life. I mean, if you want to check the McLaren lineup, and these are just the rare cars primarily, there are some pretty cool ones here that were added before they're available in real life. We've got the Sabre, we've got ones like the Speedtail came out quite a while ago. We've got pretty much a lot of different McLarens in this lineup, and this will not be spared for any of these these new ones. Of course, we got the Artura already, we got the 765 LT, we got the GT shortly after it was made available in real life, and I'm sure we could see that same trend follow with the soulless GT as well. The next car on this list is going to be the Koenigsegg Jesko Absolute. We've seen the Jesko already. It's been the fastest car in Forza Horizon 5 for a number of years, and maybe be a good time for the Absolute to come in and shake the game up a little bit. Now, if I were to make a gamble on which cars on this list would be saved for Horizon 6, it would be the Jesko Absolute. It's possible it is saved for Horizon 6. It's still in the game files for Horizon 5, just sitting there waiting for the Horizon 6 to release. But again, it is in the game files. It's possible it could come out in this game. But like I said, guys, if I were to gamble on one that would be in the next game, it probably would be the Jesko Absolute, just given how much of a crazy hypercar it is. They definitely want to save that for a new title, but not necessarily 100%, but it's very, very possible that could be their line of thinking with Horizon 6 potentially around the corner. Next up is going to be the 2004 Chrysler PT Cruiser GT. This car also a pretty cool one, similar to ones of the Catfish Camaro. All the cars that a lot of people have been wanting to come in the game for quite a while now, and this one, of course, is no exception to that. Next up is going to be a McLaren Senna P1 GTR. This one's a pretty insane car. I mean, we've seen the Senna since Horizon 4 in 2018. The P1 GTR is a very crazy one, of course, a specific track car. This one is another cool one for Horizon 5 to be released. Similar to the Jesko Absolute, I wouldn't say this one necessarily would need to be saved for Horizon 6. It could be. It's a pretty cool car. It's probably not quite like the Jesko Absolute, as we've seen a lot of these GT variations of cars, for example, Lamborghinis be added to the game Horizon 5 pretty nonchalantly. It wasn't necessarily a huge update they released those with. For example, ones like the CV12, SC20, I say these cars are kind of like the similar stature, of course, the Squadra Corse. These are kind of similar stature to the Senna P1 GTR, not really a road car, more of a track variation of one that's already in the game. That one, of course, I would say it might be in Horizon 5. And just quickly, most of you watching this video right now are not subscribed to the channel, so if you want to help us at 150k and stay up to date with the best Forza glitches, content, news, and more, be sure to tap that button. It really helps out a lot. And the final car on this list is going to be the Bentley Bentayga, the Big B 2025 variation. We've already got the Bentley Bentayga from 2016, and I was talking about how it's been such a while since we've seen updated Bentleys, probably a year or so ago, and since then we've seen two new Bentleys come to the game. Of course, you have the Continental GT, the soft top, and of course you have the Flying Spur 2021. If you guys have been following my channel for a while, you know I've been talking about these cars well before they were added to the game. These were successfully predicted, and I say it's going to be the exact same for the Bentley Bentayga. If it's not going to be in Horizon 5, it will definitely be in Horizon 6, the new variation. A pretty cool car. Forza have obviously been polishing up the Bentley lineup, and the Bentayga is definitely going to be the best one for the next bed, unless they want to go for the Mulsanne, but I'd say that's probably not quite the style of Horizon 5, other than more of these sporty ones like the Flying Spur, the Continental, or the Bentayga. Now comment down below the thoughts on these cars on this list, and of course what cars you want to see come to the game. Drop a like and subscribe, and check out my channel to learn more.